Washington, D.C. This is your Raw Post Show. If you're with us on the podcast, rate, review, and subscribe. You're with us on the YouTube, do the same thing. Rate, review, and subscribe. If you're with us on Facebook Live, jump into the comments below. Come on, Dominic, sing it with me.
Acapella, I can do falsetto.
You go high, I go. Come on, we're having fun. Seriously. Oh, I take wrestling very seriously, and I am very my nerdom. What's going on, everybody? I'm Kevin Kellum. Joining me, Dominic D'Angelo from his desk here at WrestleZone. So much to get into on this week's Monday Night Raw. We are a month out from WrestleMania, the biggest wrestling show of the year. Whether you like it or not, it is still the biggest wrestling show of the year. And there's a bunch of big angles, a bunch of big words being said by a bunch of mean men and ladies about other mean men and mean ladies. And we'll get into all the mean things that have been said and done on this week's Raw in Washington, D.C. Let's get into the biggest angles from the show. While you're watching, give us your Raw rating 1 to 10. If you're watching on demand, give us your Raw rating 1 to 10, wherever you are. Let us know what you thought of this week's Raw. Get your comments on screen here. Like James Ross, he said, Raw was so boring. All they're doing is storylines, 5.5. Brandon Lee Cross saying, Raw was
trash.
It was trash. All right, so let us know what you guys think here. And Jonathan Parshman is just, I think, remixing our theme song, saying, Fresh calzones.
I can go for a calzone right now.
I can go for a calzone. You're making me hungry here, man.
Yeah, man. Damn.
All right, so let's get into Monday Night Raw. What were your big takeaways from this week's show before we dig into the individual segs?
Big takeaways, Edge returns, obviously. The furthering of AJ Styles and Undertaker. And I think those are just my big two main takeaways. And I necessarily, like I told you off air, Kev, I didn't really like those. So, but those are the big takeaways I got from it. So
maybe what you didn't like, I did like, but I get the heat.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks I'm too nice to WWE, that I gotta get out my magnifying glass and really dig into it and find some crack and then dig into that crack and then pull that crack open and say, see, this is the problem, is there's dirt underneath the cement, and I don't do that. And some people get mad at me for it here. Other people having their takes here. Other people saying Becky Lynch was boring. Becky Lynch promised to smash in Shayna Baszler's face tonight. Pretty serviceable promo. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. I do think this angle needs more gasoline, especially coming out of an Elimination Chamber match where Shayna wrecked everyone in the Raw Women's division and kind of had a match that really didn't service her character too much. A lot of people felt the Elimination Chamber was left wanting more. So I am of the mind that I think they have time. There's still 4 weeks of TV. I'm not writing it off completely. And that's another thing I kind of feel with most of these angles. Everyone's like, how come they didn't do all this? How come they didn't do all this? There's still 4 weeks of TV. You still have 9, just for Monday Night Raw. You still have 9 more hours of Monday Night Raw. Think about that. You have 9 more hours of Monday Night Raw. That does not include SmackDown or NXT or anything else they want to do in the network. That doesn't include their Twitter or their Facebook or their YouTubes. They can announce TV specials before then. 9 more hours. So just reason that before you apply some things. And I kind of watch it as a week-to-week thing. We were supposed to have Undertaker tonight. We didn't get Undertaker tonight, but we got a hell of a bunch of the storylines involving him. My big takeaway was AJ Styles said the Undertaker's real name. I mean, it's one thing to do a documentary and you say the Undertaker's name. That is rarefied air. I thought that was enough. I also thought the meanest thing that AJ Styles said in his promo tonight about the Undertaker didn't involve the character, involved the man. He went after the guy's wife. He said, your wife keeps pushing you to get back in the ring and she's going to put you in the ground and I'm going to help her get you there. And I thought, that was some good stuff. That was some really good stuff. And I enjoyed it. I thought, okay, now this is what this match needs. And anyone who says, "Oh, that just breaks kayfabe, the Undertaker's supposed to be a dead guy," the guy has an Instagram account and Twitter. Okay, so like, calm down. Like, we all know he's a real guy and he has a couple of spooky magic tricks. Come on now. We have shades of gray here. I thought AJ Styles did a lot of favors for the match there. What do you think of Styles calling out the Undertaker by his real name and bringing up his wife?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that camp though of not necessarily like. I mean, I like kayfabe kept to an extent. I think Undertaker is the one exception where you need to kind of keep it in that regard. Like, because in a lot of ways, we're like, this is still holding up his mystique. He's old, we get it. You know, he's way up there, and he can't do as much as he can in the ring. But what can you still hold on to with the Undertaker is that vibe that he's the dead man, and that he can. I didn't need that stuff. I didn't need him calling out his real name, and I thought the whole wife thing just came out of left field. It just not make sense to me.
It did. It was out of left field. If that feels like a real Paul Heyman thing to me, you know? Because Paul Heyman knows how to push the buttons, and he's always in the angles he's been able to do and produce with the Undertaker. He always kind of finds a way to push the Undertaker's buttons. If this gets a fire under the Undertaker's ass and really gets him out there last week, they're going to do it. They announced later on after this promo that they will have a contract signing on next week's Monday Night Raw, which will also feature Stone Cold Steve Austin as a special guest in Pittsburgh, PA. So I dug it. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was the best promo ever. But AJ Styles is a guy who isn't really known for cutting, business making promos. He cuts promos at work, but he's never known as a mic man. I thought this is a great promo for him.
You know what? For Styles, I think it was a good promo. I thought his delivery was good. I thought all that was great. I didn't like the content. That was just me. But Kev, I don't know if you saw last week too. This is the interesting part of this. Is last week? Did you see one of the headlines that happened to cross on WrestleZone was the Michelle McCool being upset with not being put on the gallery of the International Women's when they celebrated. Did you see that? And then
the Undertaker responding that it was too little, too late.
Too little, too late. It's just very interesting that this week they decided to insert her into the storyline.
I don't think that was done to kind of remind.
I don't know. Like it just seems weird to me that they did that. Like from that to going over to this, where like we haven't heard Michelle McCool's name unless Evolution, back at Evolution. So.
Sure. But here's the thing, Dom. What else does this match have? What else is the motivation for Undertaker to come out from hibernation and take out AJ Styles? He's done it now, and there was some motivation there. It was surface level stuff. I'm the best WrestleMania superstar of all time. I've always gone to WrestleMania and put on a great show, right? And I'm AJ Styles. I'm better than anyone in any era. I'm better than Shawn Michaels. I'm better than this guy. I'm better than the Undertaker. So he brought up his name, and they've done that, and the seeds were there, okay? And Undertaker showed up at Super Showdown, laid him out. Showed up at Elimination Chamber, laid him out. Cost him all these different moments. So now Styles' motivation, you have to invert it, but you can't just come back and be like, come back and have a match with me. You got to give the Undertaker a character that people have literally grown up with now, multiple generations of fans. There is very few characters who have to do so little to get the fans to care so much about them as much as the Undertaker does, because people care so much about him. Even if you think he can't quote unquote go, and he's an old man and he can't wrestle there's still this reverence for him. There's still like the take a knee. It's the Undertaker. All shall bow to the great general, the Undertaker, right?
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. And they're acknowledging those things. But to up it, you have to say like, well, now what else is a part of that? It's his wife. I see where the pages are kind of laid out here. And I knew if they were going to turn the page, you can't just do another angle. I liked it. I didn't love it. I just liked it. And that's me kind of like looking at it and breaking it down to what I think the idea of what they're going for is. Because they definitely didn't, I mean, people were talking. It was trending on Twitter. That was trending on, I believe, in the top 20, top 30, a couple different trends related to it. So, I mean, if that pops people and they're talking about it right away, it did something. Sometimes provoking a reaction is the biggest thing you can do.
I kind of just categorize it almost in a way with how they've handled storylines in the past when they build up Undertaker for WrestleMania season. Like one that really sticks out in my mind is the whole way they handled the CM Punk going into WrestleMania 29 for the feud, and the urn with Paul Bearer's ashes in it. It just seems so heavy-handed and stuff. It really depends on how they're going to handle it within these few weeks. And what you mentioned too, how Taker is going to address it coming up is really going to be what's important to this. Otherwise, I feel it's just going to feel forced, and kind of unnecessary. So I'm hoping maybe what you were saying with the Undertaker coming in with a strong delivery and give him like a little conviction and stuff like that. If they can do it something right, I'll hold out a little bit of hope. But at the moment, I just don't like where it's going.
Okay. Other big matches from the night included Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza. Angel Garza laying out Rey Mysterio just about a month ago, and Rey getting the revenge on him in a very, very competitive match. I got to say this. I don't know what fountain of youth Rey Mysterio found, but he's definitely taken baths in it. I mean, this is a guy who's been through so many different injuries. He said he lost count of how many times he's had knee surgeries. I believe that was a thing with him. I spoke to him, I believe, just about last October in the summertime and had a long conversation with him about, he knows this is the final stage of his career, and he's not nearly as fast as he once was, but this is a really great Rey Mysterio right now. When he's having singles matches on television, stop what you're doing and watch it. This guy is one of the best cruiserweights of all time, and Angel Garza really stepping up his game. Rey getting the win on him here. I thought this was a strong match. They really shifted and teased that 619. Now when they hit that 619, because he has to kind of like lay out on the second rope and really get into it, I think the guys that Rey are working with are kind of saying like, hey, we can do this a different way. Here's a fresh way to set up your finisher. And when you give fresh opponents to a legendary guy like that, and you have a motivated guy like Rey Mysterio, because he's motivated to have these great matches week to week on television. This is a guy who came back to WWE last year, even though he's had injuries, even since coming back to WWE recently, he still pulls it out. He still pulls it out. And they had a great match. If you haven't seen this, or maybe you watched half of Raw, you got to go seek this one out. I really, really enjoyed it. And I wonder what they're going to do with Rey Mysterio going into WrestleMania, because he kind of like gets Angel Garza back here. I don't think we can go back and forth here. If they want to do something with Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza and another connected, similar, parallel issue, I could see Rey Mysterio in one of those multi-man match situations that they have at WrestleMania usually. But I was feeling it. We also had follow-up from the women's match. We had a tag team match here with Natalya and Liv Morgan taking on the Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki Warriors speak a limited amount of English, but are cutting long promo. And some people find these annoying. I find them deeply fascinating because
I love them.
I find myself listening more to what they got to say and remembering when they say some English within the Japanese. And they are having a lot of fun out there. And
you know what? They're captivating. They they have that presence about them and a special look about them. And I feel, you might not understand what they're saying, but I think their body language and the inflection really gets it across. I think they do an awesome job.
I like this one. Matt Pesold saying Angel reminds me of the silly boxer from Nintendo's Punch Out. I don't know. Which one would it be?
Is that Little Mac? Little Mac? Or like the Frenchman?
I don't know if it's Little Mac. That's Marco Stunt.
Okay. There we go.
But I don't know if it's Little Mac. I'm trying to remember which one it is. If you know the name of that puncher from Punch Out, if you're watching this on demand or with this in the live stream, let us know who exactly you're referencing there, Matt.
So is that Glass Joe or whatever? Glass Joe, wasn't that the guy that beat up real easy?
There's like a Latin lover character, I believe, that's in the.
Okay.
But I enjoyed what they did with the women tonight. And Ruby Riott came down to ringside. Sarah Logan was involved in the match. Liv Morgan leaped off the top rope. Are we getting an angle with all three members of the Riott Squad?
I think that's going to happen. They leaped
into a pile-up, and they were all brawling with each other. And then Natalya lost the match, which is fine. If an interference kind of sets up an angle. But, I mean, I don't know how you could fit another match on WrestleMania.
I know, it's a lot. You know what? This just made me think like how much more I wanted to see with the Riott Squad together initially. Like, I don't like what they did with the Riott Squad when they were together, but how they're dynamic and how they enjoyed being around one another, you could tell like they had a whole lot of potential together to do that and like make something very special to the Riott Squad. And It's just, I think it's a kick in the pants that we didn't get to see more of that and a better development of that when they were together. That just made me think of that.
It's also something you could do in the women's battle royal too. That's a feud you could kind of fulfill there in some other ways.
Oh, I forget about that. Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Other parts of Monday Night Raw that fans are still talking about. I enjoyed the Black Rollins match. Now, Black was interrupted during his knock on my door promo to have Seth Rollins knock on his door. Come on, knock on my door. Come and pick a fight with me. We got three company in WWE. So Black then gets into it with Seth Rollins, and they're going to have a match later on in the night. I'm like, oh, wow. Like Aleister Black in another feature singles match against Seth Rollins, who has great singles matches on Raw. So I was enjoying this. And then it spiraled into Goon Squad, get in the ring and attack this guy, and it was a really cool match. They were just getting going, and Aleister Black disappears. Here come the Viking Raiders to come out, take out Rollins and his gang of goons in Buddy Murphy and AOP, and then here come the Street Profits, and we're gonna have Street Profits and Viking Raiders versus all of the Monday Night Messiah disciples and Seth Rollins. And I was like, where is Aleister Black? You set up a match with him earlier in the night. And
where'd he go?
Like, where is Kevin Owens? AOP at the behest, at the order of Seth Rollins, attacked him earlier in the night. So I knew we would get some fulfillment there. But I was like, why? Why these four guys? Aren't you done with these guys? Have we done this already? And take nothing from them. The match was fun. They picked it up. Everyone was doing all their big moves. Everyone's laying each other out. Montez Ford is just ridiculous. This guy is oozing charisma, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't fantastic, but I kept scratching my head like, where does Aleister Black? Where's Kevin Owens? You set up things with them. Now, mind you, Kevin Owens came out at the end of the night to try and lay out the AOP with some stunners and get Buddy Murphy with a stunner, only to take 3-foot stomps to the back of his head from Seth Rollins. The heels got to stay strong going into WrestleMania, and they did that. But that one was bothering me. Nick Basson thought Raw was awesome. I'll give you my Raw rating in a little bit. If you're watching the show live or you're watching on demand, I want you to give me your Raw 1 to 10 rating, and also try and guess what mine is going to be. Not make it me, but I'm just trying to play a little bit of a game with you guys who are watching the Raw post show. Try and guess what you think my Raw 1 to 10 rating is going to be. So what do you think here? This was the whole Mishigosh here towards the end of Raw tonight.
Okay, I didn't like this either, man. I think like Black coming out and having that match, I was intrigued by it too. And I love Aleister Black, even just the presence that he has coming to the ring, just the entrance, it still gets me. And I was totally even fine with them just DQing the match. I was totally okay with that. But right when they like attacked him and then they turned it into a 4-person tag, like a 4-man tag, 8-man tag, and like he's just gone. He's gone. You like if you have somebody like a Rock, like a Roman Reigns even, or like an Austin, they get their ass kicked and then they just vanish. That would never happen. You would never not address where they're at or what's going on with them. And that's exactly what they did to Black. Like there was just they mentioned him once, but then nothing followed up with that. Oh, he's just gone. So you wouldn't do that with a star. And then it goes into the fact that they pin Montez Ford when Montez Ford's like the hottest star in the ring out of all 8 of those guys. Like, and they have Seth Rollins get the pin. I understand you want to put the heat on Seth and you want to get the heat on the bad guys, but have him pin somebody else. Have him pin like Eric or have him pin Dawkins. But you want to keep Montez as hot as possible, especially if he's getting wins off of Rollins here and there too. And so that was kind of frustrating.
And make the faction look strong and give them a big pinfall victory as a bad guy group. You know, I don't.
Sure, yeah, no, that's totally fine to do, but just don't have Ford take the fall when he's like the hottest star you have going on there. And then on top of that, you have Kevin Owens come out, give the stunners and stuff, but he still gets the 3 curb stomps or foot stomps.
I didn't mind. It's just like because Owens has been laying out Rollins for weeks now, and Rollins as a heel is just going to look like a dork who could be pushed over at WrestleMania. So a month out from WrestleMania, I think if you invert it, and you know, Rollins and Owens has been going on for quite some time, and they've had many matches in television before, but within this single feud where it's Owens versus Rollins squad, Owens has had a bunch of different people help him but still Rollins scrapes away in some way or another, even though he's giving him stunners. They need something else here, and need some more amp up here. Or this could get really lost in the WrestleMania mix, because there's a lot of big matches in the WrestleMania this year that have other elements to them that this match doesn't have and likely needs. That's just my feeling. I understand where they put it at the end of the show, because the 8 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock Central and 9 o'clock Central, they did something pretty neat. I was surprised. They were teasing this on television. I really thought we were going to get Edge's big advertised return on Monday Night Raw at the end of the show. Clever maneuver is they had MVP come out to the ring and kind of say that he's forming a new stable. Surprising to do this a month before WrestleMania, but he's forming a new stable, and he wants Edge to be in the stable. So I was like, oh, this is how Edge is going to come back. Edge storms out of the car, takes off his hat, and whips it out, and you just know, like, MVP is smiling like a complete jackass, and is going to get fed with Edge when he gets out to the ring, and that's just what happened. And I didn't mind it, because it gave me a sense of I can't turn away. Edge is going to beat somebody up. I haven't seen Edge do this on Monday Night Raw in a long, long time. Here we go, and we got to see a lot of physicality from Edge in this segment. And he came out and totally laid out MVP, which is kind of neat. And Randy Orton surprised him out of nowhere. But what did Randy Orton get? Bam! That's what you get, you snaky son of a bitch. You get an RKO. So I felt like it was not a clean RKO. Edge doesn't know the maneuver. He shouldn't be good at getting.
No.
All right. So you're like, oh, he didn't do the RKO. Nearly as good as Randy Orton could do it. I mean, if you're gonna come back, you're gonna stop. All right. It shouldn't look good. It looked fine, and it worked. And it also was a quick one, and it lent some credence to Edge is motivated to get his hands on Randy Orton. But the question remains. For some, last week in this spiraling soap opera, which I think is the most emotionally invested storyline that WWE has for this year's WrestleMania, Edge versus Orton, Beth Phoenix got laid out. And I was yelling at my TV then. I got to say that I think maybe no touching of Randy Orton at all would have helped. If Randy Orton would have gotten that ring and then simply gotten away, that there would have been something here. But MVP played the goon in a suit who got fed with a bunch of different concertos to remind you that Edge now is very, very serious, and that he also wants to injure and hospitalize Randy Orton. And then Orton stood on the ramp and stared at him. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I thought maybe you didn't have to touch Orton. Maybe just have him out there and just tease me. You know what I mean? Just tease me along here. And I liked seeing a very angry Edge, very, very motivated Edge. I love the follow-up backstage. Where's Randy? I want to find Randy. I want to come back. What did you think? So
I like the intensity Edge gave and came out. And I can agree with you there, like, maybe don't get a hand on Randy. I think that would lead to more anticipation, more like motivation for the fans to like keep tuning in and everything like that. I understand that. I did not like what he did to MVP in regards to. I'm okay with the spears, and like he gave him an RKO too, right on the chair. I'm okay with that. The concerto, the two concertos, I know the fans dug it. I thought it was a little much for a babyface to do to another guy. Mm-hmm. A little more like, I understand he wants to get in channel with the Viper and all that kind of thing. I just did not like that aspect of it. And plus, I was intrigued. Like when MVP came out, he mentioned about getting a stable together. I'm like, all right, this is kind of fresh, getting a little more of a legacy talent in, mixed in with getting the vibe going. But I think having him play the foil to all that kind of defines him down a little bit even as a manager. So
he's a manager. He's not a major player right now. He wants to be a manager. That's what he's positioning himself. Managers are just supporting characters. I saw a bunch of people complaining online about that. I was like, he is playing a supporting role. Managers support angles and help the storyline propel. I understood the complete logic in it to get there. And you needed Edge to get physical with somebody, but you can't have it collectively be with Orton. So that's why I was like, why did you even have to do the RKO? Why did you even have to do that? I mean, why didn't Edge just RKO MVP and say, like, look, see what you did to my
that would have been cool too. I would have liked that. Yeah.
But mind you, that's just second guessing it. Watching it, I loved it. But I did have the natural second guessing that we always do around WrestleMania time. We hold WrestleMania angles, I think, up to a different standard. If this was for like Survivor Series or SummerSlam, I don't think I would have been saying this. I think WrestleMania kind of gives you that natural, like, but what, this is Mania, So there is that natural, like, nah, my nerdiest. I have to raise the bar. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's the season. It's the season to get a little neck beard scratching going on.
Mitsuharu Misawa would not allow that to happen. So yeah. So overall, I thought this was a pretty gosh darn entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. There was a bunch of squash matches. Did you see Drew McIntyre? They reminded you that yes, he is indeed fighting Brock Lesnar, and Rhea Ripley slapped Charlotte Flair in the face. I thought that was a fine segment. All short, sweet, and effective. I didn't bring them up because they were good, but they weren't fantastic, right? Also, they smashed Erick Rowan's cage with the spider in it. They revealed.
Oh, did they? See, yeah, I missed that part.
Maybe you're running back from break. They replayed it on I caught it on social because I was coming back from the bathroom. I wash my hands 19 times a day. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So 20 seconds, sing a song while you're doing it. So your rating for Monday Night Raw out of 10. I don't tell it to me. You're not nearly up on this episode of Monday Night Raw as I am.
No.
I'm going to say that you will give it. You didn't hate it though, right? You didn't hate it. Do you know what it is? Lock it in. Locked in,
Kev. It's locked in. It's locked in.
I'm going to use my wrestling nerd ability through the power of the internet from Chicago to the city of the Three Rivers, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Right. Try to read Dominic's mind. I'm going to say that you're going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Close. I'm giving 4.8. 4.8.
4.8. Come on now.
Didn't like it, man.
All right. So my rating.
Didn't like it.
What do you think my rating for Raw is?
I'm going to give you, you know what? I'm trying to think what you gave it last week. I think you gave it around at 8.5 if I remember. I'm going to go 7.6 this time.
7.6?
Yeah.
I actually I thought there were too many squash matches. The angles were cool. I'm going to give flat 7. 7.
Wow. All right.
7.0 from me. There are more than enough good angles on this week's Raw and angles that were big for WrestleMania. I think the telling overall fact from this week's episode, even though I did think the ending was a mishigosh, I thought more if you watch the 3-hour show, you got a sense that WrestleMania season is here. That there's a sense of everything's elevated and everybody wants a piece. Even a simple match with Riddick Moss in the ring with Cedric Alexander, short match, but these are guys that are even on the lower end of things work going out.
That was my favorite part of the second half of Raw was Riddick Moss. No joke about it. That was my favorite part of the second half.
What's his?
Because they put him over.
They did put him over, and they have been putting him over for a couple of weeks. But what's his character? Like, what is this guy? Like, what?
Well, we haven't heard anything yet. That's something they got to work on. But the fact that they're putting some balls behind him a little bit, I like.
He's got some cool moves. You know what I mean? Like him doing a fallaway slam through the ropes into the corner. Yes. Kind of neat. And you can only do it with a couple of guys who can take that. So I thought that was cool.
His neckbreaker finish is cool too.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a flat 7. I feel like I felt like I almost could have gave it a 6, but I give it a solid 7 rating because the AJ Styles promo was cool. Edge was cool, even though there was a bunch of weird things with it. I thought Becky Lynch reminded me that she's a badass SOB, is going to do some cool things, and I'm excited for what comes next. So if I leave Raw, even though I may feel like, oh, this isn't great now, but I'm excited for what they're doing next week, then I'm on board. You know what I mean? And there's a handful of things they say for this time of the year that I think are kind of coming up in a good way. And we have 3 more episodes of Monday Night Raw before we get to WrestleMania. So I'm excited to watch the next few episodes. And Raw has been pretty good overall. I think they can have a lighter episode this time of year.
I enjoyed last week. I did enjoy last week from what I saw, but this week just kind of let me down a little bit. Kev, if you had to pick something, what's the primary thing you want to see them really focus on going forward in regards to what they can develop more.
Just in general, or just for WrestleMania?
Just in general. Well, for WrestleMania, but particularly with the Raw brand.
Well, just particularly with the Raw brand, I think I know a lot of people complain about, they don't do anything with new stars, and look how much they are utilizing stars in the past. Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin on the show, Undertaker is once again having a WrestleMania angle, Edge is back, Orton is back. So you have a lot of guys that are, north of their late 30s and well into the 40s,
right.
Some of them into their 50s. And I see that, but at the same time, I see what they've done with Humberto Carrillo. I see what they've done with Angel Garza. We brought up Rick Moss. I think the Street Profits they're starting to fulfill their investment. You see the crowd reaction. When they were cutting a promo tonight, they didn't have to finish their catchphrase. When you can have the crowd finish your catchphrase, guess what you are? You're over. And they've been over for a while now. And I'm starting to see that's like half a dozen guys I just mentioned that have some connection with the audience right now that I think fans are sleeping on, but casual fans who aren't in the bubble like you and I are in with the internet are just kind of taking them for granted. And they're there. It's WWE, and they should have a bunch of guys like that. And I also think that's just kind of perception when you have a show that's that big and there's so many different things going on. You can forget about somebody, but when they come out and they remind you what they can do, it's always special. I think Aleister Black is really fun. I'd love to see him developed as the new lone gunman. I don't want, for lack of a better phrase, the new Undertaker. They're the guy who does speak. He isn't completely quiet. But when he does have big matches, they have a special feeling. So that's kind of like why because he had such a good week. He got the win over AJ Styles, so it's the biggest of his career. And so I was expecting more. That's what I would like to see. In terms of the WrestleMania angles, let the big time guys play their stories. I know everyone thinks about developing things, but it's almost why I'm surprised that so many people that aren't going to have big feature matches on WrestleMania have gotten TV time. They did this on SmackDown. They have a bunch of guys that are just like, Zack Ryder was out there doing some job matches. That's fine. But think how many guys that need to get on the WrestleMania card or need more juice to their storylines already. And some of that's just a 3-hour show. Sometimes you have a 3-hour show that does it. I'll say this, Raw has been a lot more entertaining than SmackDown has been for the better part of this first quarter of the year. The first 3 months of the year, we're into it now. We're almost near WrestleMania. And if you would have told me last year that Raw was better than SmackDown, I would have said no way. Because this time last year, SmackDown was way better than Raw going into WrestleMania. So it's kind of weird how things kind of shift and move around. And I've been enjoying that. I also think I like the idea of someone from NXT just kind of floating in and out of Raw. The brand separations aren't nearly as much. I think if you're on NXT, you should be able to go between the two different brands and do different stuff.
I think doing that, if you did that a little bit more, have the NXT people move around, it would make it seem more like a third brand in regards to being on the same level. At the moment, it kind of seems like NXT is still at an NXT level as much as they want to get it over to an extent.
I think it's its own brand, but because it's still new on television, it gives you that sense of, because let's be frank, Survivor Series was a really, really fun show because NXT was involved. And I went to that show live. I watched the TV. You saw the ratings and the trend. In the times of NXT on Wednesday being head-to-head with AEW, that was the time when NXT was winning and was winning fan interest and was getting more people involved. And AEW had this period in December where they were trying to respond to that and had some rough periods where they lack the same storyline consistency. Now, some people say it's the other way around. But I enjoy seeing NXT people like Rhea just show up on Raw. And it still, even though we've seen her on Raw before, it still feels special. It still feels like a fresher thing. So I enjoy that stuff. I think fans get something, then they like it, and then they consume it and they spit it out a lot faster. Because I think it's just media. We have a screen in our hands where we could watch clips of almost anything anytime. So the pages turn a lot faster. So then when fans complain that they don't tell stories like they did in 1996, I'm just like, because it's not 1996.
It's not the same landscape. As much as I like slow builds and good storytelling, it's definitely not the time period for it.
A slow build now is 4 weeks.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
No, I mean, dude,
crazy.
I'm MMA 30s. I have to rectify the idea that they can't tell it like they did when I was 12. So
I'd love it if they could. It's not the landscape.
Not the way it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the way we consume media. It's not the way the pages turn. And if any other wrestling promotion did that, they would be seen as old school, and some of them are doing that, so there we go. fun conversations nonetheless. You
Yes.
can follow Dominic on Twitter. Where do they go?
At Dominic D'Angelo on Twitter, just my name. So you know how to spell my name. There it is.
Yeah, it's right there on screen. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Kelman. Of course, check out WrestleZone.com. I know you had some great features this week. You are continuing the legal drama that is Jim Cornette versus all of independent wrestling. Last week, you interviewed G-Raver, the independent wrestler who is being sued by Jim Cornette. This week, you interviewed Jim Cornette's lawyer in the same case, Stephen P. New.
Correct. So yeah, I interviewed G-Raver's lawyer 2 weeks ago, Max Petrunia. He's an actual wrestler. David Lawless is his wrestling name. But yeah, this week last week, but it got posted today, was the Stephen P. New interview. Really fascinating. I'm telling you, get both sides of the case because it's so cool to hear both sides and just it's all involved with wrestling. It's kind of fantastic. Like just having those two sides of wrestling and like, hey, choose your babyface, choose your heel in the angle. It doesn't matter. But it's been really fun to cover, and I feel like really in tune with the law a little bit now. I think I could defend myself in some sort of case if need be.
We should have a wrestling court here in the show.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll have a WrestleZone court.
Another fun thing we're doing at WrestleZone is the March Madness, because I'm not supposed to legally say that word. Theme music March Madness is coming up. This has been the brainchild of you and Bill Pritchard.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Like, I love the March Madness tourneys and college basketball. I'm not in tune with, but I enjoy picking brackets nonetheless. And so to kind of incorporate that with wrestling and wrestling themes, because we're always debating, which is the best wrestling theme? What is this? Hopefully this can kind of settle some things a little bit with fans and everybody alike. We'll have a good mix of stuff from newer themes to classic themes to everything like that. And
I presented today. I saw this on Twitter. This one was kind of like very, very hard for me to pick. And earlier on today on the WrestleZone Daily, you guys can get that on the podcast feed, video, YouTube, all that too. Oh, by the way, we're putting the post shows on the podcast feed. If you're just tuning in and you just want to listen to audio, we're going to start doing those as well. So you'll have literally like hours of audio that you can listen to us for every week for free. No paywall, no Patreon. No, we're going there. So we were talking about this. You guys have really put this one in a hard spot. Undertaker, American Badass. During that period, he had Kid Rock's American Badass. And then also Limp Bizkit's Rollin', Rollin', Rollin'. Now I have chosen Rollin', Rollin', Rollin'. It just feels good. It gets you up. It gets you dancing. Like it's 1999 and, you're waiting for Jackass to come on, TV or something like that.
Kev, do you have a soul patch, though, at this time?
I got weird. I can't do the soul patch, bro.
Well, no, you can't. Well, back in 99, could you do the soul patch?
Back in 99, I said this earlier as well. Back in 99, when wearing a red baseball cap was still pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's all at WrestleZone.com. Dominic, we've been watching wrestling. I've been watching a whole lot of it. And I hope the whole time that when you're watching wrestling, you're doing this thing when you watch it, because I know we get into this noise of everything, that you enjoy wrestling.
Oh, I do. I do enjoy it. Yeah. I enjoy watching it and I enjoy critiquing it too. So it's like I get the good balance of life, man. There's nothing wrong with, taking an assessment of it all. And just seeing that tease of Black versus Rollins tonight, I was intrigued. So I hope they do a little bit more. They give a little more props to Black and put him on a better pedestal. But overall, I enjoy it, Kev. Or else I wouldn't be doing it.
There you go. And that's our sign off. It's enjoy wrestling.
Right.
There we go.